Good evening, campers. It's me, Kieran, and today we are going to talk about Audrey Szasz's Invisibility, a Manifesto. If you've been following me, Audrey Szasz might be a name that is on the tip of your tongue. Where have you heard this name from? It's because recently I reviewed Tears of a Small Girl, her most recent novel. It's a very good book, and I recommend you check out my review, and I will leave links below, and hopefully you will pick up a copy. If you would be so inclined to know, I think Szasz is an author we should be keeping our eyes on, and any future works I will definitely be grabbing a copy of. While I have my eyes on her books, I wasn't expecting Szasz's eyes to land on my review, and we have been chatting, and she has sent me, for full disclosure, a copy of Invisibility, a Manifesto. It's a book that you actually cannot get your hands on. I think it's completely out of print. And she sent me a lovely note, and inside, all the best, Audrey Szasz, 16th of August 2021. So, Audrey, thank you ever so much. Make do with that information as you please. Szasz's Manifesto really builds up the foundations to what I can only assume will be the future of maybe the Szaszerian character. The Sashayan? I don't know, but there has to be a term for it, because Szasz is really pinpointing exactly the type of characters that she wants to write about. Female characters who are at the same time powerless and powerful because they are victims. They become victims because they're putting themselves in situations that they know they're getting themselves into. They're conscious of what they're about to do. We saw in Tears of a Small Girl, the main character, Irina, actively seeking out sexual favours from soldiers. She gets herself into these situations. She uses her sex as a means of getting what she wants. But ultimately, it puts her in the hands of Chikatilo, a notorious Russian serial killer who ends up eviscerating her. In Invisibility, a Manifesto, the character is a child prostitute. They get beat by their parents. They end up being associative, if not complicit, in murder and cannibalism. But who is the character of Invisibility? Technically, it's Szasz herself. Szasz is very meta, and definitely there is a theme of placing herself within her own works. In Tears of a Small Girl, all the photos of Irina are of Szasz. She models, she poses as the victims. In Invisibility, she outright says that the character names that she's going to give are ultimately her. But Szasz is playing a very devilish game of, well, can you believe that it's Szasz? Szasz leads you down a wild goose chase, just playing and ultimately manipulating you as a reader. I will not tell you how many hours I tried to scour the internet, because Szasz tells you to Google it, that when she was a young child in Switzerland, she was a known detective sleuth. And I believed it outright. Am I a fool? Yes. Did I want to believe it? Oh, absolutely I did. The plot of Invisibility has a lot of loose ends, and it would be very easy to unfurl them to see the strands laid out in front of you. But Szasz, towards the end of this very short manifesto, does that for us. Invisibility is not about being one of the story. It's about being removed, being outside of that situation. Szasz's character, and maybe Szasz herself, feel as though her art and her are separate. She's invisible to the process. We don't know anything about Szasz. We feel as though we know about Szasz from what she's told us. It's simultaneously a declaration of the death of the author, whilst sticking two fingers up and spitting in its face. Szasz is completely self-aware of what she is doing, and you only have to read how arousing, how sensuous, how grim, how violent, and how erotic this book is to notice that Szasz is playing with our notions. To some degree, this is like Humbert Humbert from Nabokov's Lolita, but Szasz is putting all the attention on Lolita. Unlike in Lolita, Lolita knows what she's doing. to some degree. Szasz just takes it to the nth degree. How close up to the boundary do you go where you are complicit, you're the victim, or you're the perpetrator? The best example of this is a sexual encounter where I don't think there would be a unanimous agreement to what point it becomes rape and what point it becomes assault. There seems to be a change in consent throughout those paragraphs, and where you think it's gone too far as soon as someone starts consenting to it, does that reset the balance? What happens here? All while Szasz's character bleeds into the background. Quick side note, don't worry about it, it's not all bleak. In fact, there is a reference to Rock Me Amadeus by Falco, which undoubtedly is one of the greatest and catchiest works of the 80s. You're welcome. Invisibility and Manifesto does what a manifesto should do. It gives you the ideas that the author wants to talk about and equally challenges the reader. And there are some points where you are equally uncomfortable but are there along the ride with it. Amongst these erotic, violent scenes, we are watching it. Are we complicit in it? Are we voyeuristic in it? Or are we not part of it at all? If I could reduce this down to 3 questions that I think Szasz is asking, it is, at what point does a reader become engaged? What point does a reader get gratification from a book? And more subtly, what point does a reader get self-gratification from a book? I think we know of some examples where are readers enjoying the book, or are they getting something out of the book? Or where is that line? No one's doing what Szasz does. Szasz equally terrifies me, but equally is writing very cutesy little paragraphs and letters within this that are slightly heartwarming until you realise what they're talking about, which then makes me a little bit petrified. Szasz's writing is not for the faint of heart, and Szasz's writing is counterculture, it is subculture, it is perverse, and it is not for the faint of heart. There are some things in this that are just close to the bone of being inexorably wrong. But Szasz always manages to pull it off. If you like Blood and Guts in High School by Kathy Acker, maybe go and check out Szasz. There are some similarities there. If you're captivated by Melchor's Hurricane season, check out Szasz. If you enjoyed Hannah Yanagihara's A Little Life, I would recommend checking out Szasz. This book will get your head going. It's going to push you, and it's just going to see how far it can take you to the cliff before you consent to jumping off. This is wonderful. I would give it a 7 out of 10. And again, I would love to read way more of Szasz's works, and hopefully I can get my hands on them soon.